Good morning, my beautiful people. So I've been debating on what to talk about. Um, I didn't want to just like post a bunch of useless shit because I haven't been doing anything really. But somebody had reached out to me and asked about my bottom surgery healing process. And I think that my healing process was a little unusual than other people's. So I guess I'm just going to tell you a story. So typically when you get bottom surgery, they want you to stay close to the hospital in case something because your phallus can lose blood flow. So they want you as close to the hospital as possible in case something bad were to happen to you, which I had planned to do that. So I got surgery in Green Bay, California, kind of like by San Francisco. And I had booked a hotel. And so I was in the hospital for 4 to 5 days. I think they let me out on day 4. When you get up and walk, they let you out. You have to get up and walk. So I had my dad pick me up and drop me off at this hotel. And when we got to the hotel, I was like, it fucking stinks in here. Like, what the fuck is that? Because I stunk. But what the fuck is that smell? So we start looking around and there was puke on like the bed skirt of the bed. And I don't know what the fuck was wrong with this guy, but I booked a whole week, which was a lot of freaking money because it wasn't like a extended stay hotel. It was just the closest, cheapest hotel to them. And so I called him and I'm like doped up. Like I'm hurting, my balls hurt. And so I call him and my parents had left. And so I was like, well, what the fuck? So I called him and he goes, well, have somebody else clean it up. I don't have a maid here to clean it up. I just paid you how much money to stay here? And you're gonna tell me to clean my own room? And he knew that I was had just gotten out of surgery. I had like a wound vac machine. I had like gauze wrapped. I was like limping because they give you a wrap around your leg because they take a piece of skin from your leg to put on your arm. So I was pretty messed up all over the place. And he told me that. And I was like, fuck this, fuck you. I'm getting all of my money back and I'm switching rooms and I'm staying the night tonight, but I'm getting all of my money back. He ended up doing it because that was just like bizarre. I've never had somebody tell me that at a hotel. But I called my mom and she picked us up and then drove us all the way home. So that's like 3-ish hours. And we like to go to the movies. Like that's what we do as a family. We like to go to the movies, popcorn, butter, candy, you know what I mean. So on the way there was like a Cinemax, IMAX, whatever. And I'm like 24 hours out of the hospital. And I have my wound back on and you have to charge that fucking thing. So we drive 2 hours, stop at the movies, watch a 2.5 hour long movie. I think it was like Maleficent or something. And the whole time, my wound vac was beeping because it was about to die. And we still had like another 1.5 hours to drive home. So my wound vac died on the way home. And I was like, great, I'm really gonna get infected because the wound vac sucks like the plasma and fluid and liquid out of there. So it's not creating like bacteria and just makes it easier for your wound to heal because if there's moisture, it's not gonna be able to like heal properly, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm really in for it now. And so I make it home, I charge the thing, everything was cool and fine and dandy. And I personally wasn't financially capable to even like take that time off of work and do all of those things. So I went back to work like 4 days after. I still had my catheter in. And I went back to work. It wasn't like a mainstream job or anything, but I went back to work and I worked. I was pretty good. My hand was all swollen. I had a catheter in still, but I couldn't financially afford to do it, but I couldn't like mentally afford not to. Do you know what I mean? So whatever. And then but right before I got my catheter out, I think it was like, because it's like a week. So I went back to work like 3 days after I got out of the hospital. And then probably like 5 days. Yeah. It was probably like 5 days after I got out of the hospital. My friend from LA came up, and he's a tattoo artist. And he was like, hey, I got an open slot. If you want to come in, I'll give you a good deal. I was like, shit, okay, cool. So I got a full, like, half sleeve 5 days out of surgery. And that was rough. Like, my catheter wasn't infected. It was just uncomfortable and irritated. So, like, where it was, because they don't stick the catheter in your hole. They stick it kind of, like, above, like, on, I don't know what that part's called. Like, the tissue above your pelvic bone, kind of. And they stick it in there. So I have, like, a hole, kind of. Like a scar. But, so it was like bending and stuff, and it was just irritated. It wasn't infected, but it didn't feel good. And I was already grossed out with that anyways. I had them pull it early because they were gonna leave it in for like another week or something, and I was like, no, you need to pull that thing right now. But I got a full half sleeve. And then I went back to the hospital for my pre-op, like the week after I got out of the hospital, and he's like, everything's looking good, you're looking great. Did you get tattoos? It was obvious that I got tattoos because I got one on my neck. I got, I think this whole half. And then I got something else. I can't remember right now. But I got a lot of tattoos. Like, I sat probably for like a day and a half. And, that wasn't the best idea because I was like healing in all different areas. And if I was anybody else, I probably would have gotten like a really bad infection or something. But something's wrong with me. I'm like a superhuman. The timing of my surgery was like, my birthday is in November and Halloween was coming up. So it was like a week. I think it was like a week before Halloween is when I got my catheter out. So we threw a fat Halloween party. Like, I got a fog machine. I had like a 3-bedroom apartment type deal. And it was like really big, open, spacious. It was really nice. I liked it. And I decked that bitch out. Like, there was so much decoration, so much booze, like beer pong, fog machines, strobe lights, like the works. And I've never really just kidding, I've thrown a party like that. But at my own house, that's why my scar isn't so clean on the inside, because somebody was trying to get into a fight. And I was a lad, and so I ripped off my vest. And the inside of my scar was like ripped and bleeding and stuff. And I was like drinking, so it was extra bleeding. But I don't recommend that. I'm just telling you what I did and what you should avoid. And then after my Halloween party was my birthday, so we went to Vegas, walked up and down the strip, and my leg, like, I've never chafed so bad in so many different areas in my whole life. Like, was chafing my legs, like in between my legs. The skin graft on my leg was so raw and chafing because we were walking everywhere, and I only had I was really big back then, so I didn't have very comfortable pants either. So it wasn't like the best experience. I think that they have, it's called like Zoroform. It's like XERO form. You could get it on Amazon, and those pads work so well for any type of healing. And I think that's why like the top part of my arm is so good, because I kept putting it on and on and on until like I didn't have to. And I even gave my mom some, and she put it on like a burn that she had, and it made it look pretty decent. So I recommend getting the Zoroform pads, and I think that they'll recommend you get that too. It just is like a collagen wrap so that it promotes like skin growth. But I don't recommend doing any of those things that I did. But like my life is so fast paced that like I didn't stop for any of my surgeries. I just went, and I think that's like my mental health took a hit along with that, because like me as a person, I was just like, I gotta get this done. I gotta go. I'm not gonna be happy until I am basically right here, right now. And I knew that in my head, but during that time, like, I put so much stress and responsibility on my body, when like, if you can afford to rest and take that time, I would recommend doing that. It is a rough surgery, but for some reason I don't know how to stop. I do recommend that you make plans to stay close to the hospital wherever you are, because my doctors didn't know that I had left the area. They thought that I was staying close by. But it's really important. Like, your phallus can lose blood flow, and potentially the skin will die. Like, it will not have blood flow. Or you can have like fistulas, or you can start getting infections, or there's a lot of different things that could happen. And I'm grateful that like none of that happened to me, because I wasn't in the position to be as cautious as I should have been. But I also didn't have to be as reckless as I was. I was just like young and drunk alcoholic, so it was like everybody's healing process is going to be different. And if you've had surgeries before, which if you're getting bottom surgery, you've probably had top surgery and other surgeries as well, and you'll know what your body can take. Like, I knew that I could do everything that I needed to do. But I do recommend like saving up like 2 months worth of rent or whatever you pay as far as bills, because like it is scary. It is a risk because you are going to be potentially out of work for a month. Like, I couldn't go back to my regular mainstream job until I got a doctor's note, and that was probably like 3 weeks after my surgery. So a month to 2 months worth of savings, on top of like you probably have to pay like a deductible and hospital fees and like gauze. Like, I spent a lot of money on gauze, and that's just because me specifically, I wrapped it and rewrapped it all the time, because it does have an odor and it does stink, and I'm really self-conscious about like smelling like shit. So I would rewrap it, and I think that like changing the Zoroform pads like 2 to 3 times a day helped the healing on the top of my arm. And like, if I ever got into any other type of surgery that needed significant like skin regrowth, I would recommend getting stuff like that. But like, they recommended me get like they gave me a whole list of stuff to buy for my surgery, and all I really used was I used like Vaseline and stuff, because you are going to be dry. Like, my hand peeled from like my fingers all the way down to my hand, because it was so fucking swollen, and it was just gross. So I put a lot of Vaseline on, and you're going to be dehydrated. But they recommend me get like a neck pillow, a new outfit. Like, I do recommend getting some like comfy sweats maybe, because you are going to have a catheter in for a long period of time. And I was like sleeping on an air mattress and wearing uncomfortable clothes because I was so overweight, but I didn't have enough money to buy outfits and things like that. So I was uncomfortable for a lot of it. But and when I was healing, I took like one of those long socks, and I cut it, and I put it over my gauze and stuff, because like you're gonna have stitches and everything up to here. So I took a long sock and I cut it, and I made like a little thumb pocket to slip over so that would stay on. But like, your gauze, you're gonna have blood and fluid and things leaking through it, not through it, but like visible. And if you're somebody that's self-conscious about people staring or like wondering what happened to you, like, that's something you could do, is get like a wrap. I did a tattoo sleeve after I healed because those are kind of tight, and I didn't want to like cut more circulation off to a place that was already pretty swollen. So I did that like a couple months down the road, but a sock works as well. So I love you guys, and leave me some stuff in the comments because I really want to know what you're looking for. Maybe I already answered all your questions and you're just here, or you're not here at all. Whatever. I love you. Do what all the professionals tell you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and please leave me some stuff. I need to know. I love you. Bye.